All right, ladies.
All right, enough's enough.
All right, back to our intro. I
All right.
haven't seen you. I haven't been on the couch with you in a while for a myriad of
It's
reasons.
been a minute. I haven't been on a couch in a minute. Been in a
True.
in a bed that moves up and down whenever I want it to. Yeah, that's it.
Non-sexual,
Not in a sexy way.
non-derogatory. That was a slow motion eater. All right. Well, I'm Jamie. You are.
I'm Kirsten, and I'm dying up here, and
Me
so are
too.
you.
Everyone else should stop being weird about it.
They sure should. It's been a weird couple of weeks, huh?
Yeah. So tell the folks. I know I get a text from you.
Mm-hmm.
You never really talk about being sick, even to someone to me as a friend. And I'm always like, stop doing bits. I'm okay to hear what's going on, which I understand. Your whole life has been you trying to sugarcoat stuff. So even with
Yeah,
me,
do you want to read that text that I sent you?
it was like the smallest footnote that you were in the hospital. I couldn't find it because we text a lot, but I'll look. It was like I asked you about something and you're like, "Oh, maybe but I'm in the hospital right now." Like it was like the last thought you had. When did you go to the hospital, and do you want to just explain a little bit about what puts you in the hospital, cuz a lot of people don't know. Like we say you're terminally ill, but people pretend like that's not happening.
Yeah.
So they don't realize that you're sick,
Not
right?
happening.
Not happening, not happening. But really, people, because I want to hear your piece, because then I'll say how it impacted me, which is probably greater than you. But let's hear it.
I do want to hear your side of the story. I think everyone does, but I'll start with mine. Yeah, so I get, I would say the thing about CF, cystic fibrosis, that is at least consistent, it is that I am sick like clockwork. I would say probably 4 times a year I get sick in the same way over the same time period.
Sick being infection that
A
puts
lung
you in
infection.
the hospital.
A lung infection.
Because I think even you saying sick is sugarcoating.
Sure. Oh yeah, that's fair. I get real sick. Like
some people think like having a cold is being sick. You're saying like I'm incapacitated, need meds to be alive.
You're right. Yes. So I'm talking real sick. But for me, I don't get colds because if I get a cold, it turns into this.
Right.
So it is my sick. But typically what happens, and not even just typically, every time like clockwork, is one of you healthy people in the world who gets a little cold or the sniffles and is like, I can go out. I'm not that sick. It's just a cold, which good for you. But you're going to run into me at a show or something, and your little cold is going to give me a cold. And then I'll get a cold for about 72 hours. And then one morning I'll wake up and all of the, like, I have a sore throat, I have all of this. And then one morning I wake up after the 3rd day and it's all in my lungs. And I have no more symptoms up top. I don't have a sore throat anymore. I don't have a headache anymore. I feel fine, other than I can't breathe. So then I have to go to the hospital, usually after that 3rd day.
Except for the dead thing.
But I will say, truly, having a super sore throat or a fever and all that is so uncomfortable that sometimes I like can't wait for the part where that goes away and it's just my breathing, because at least with my breathing, I'm like pretty used to that. The other stuff is a lot more, like if I had a fever, it would be a lot harder for me to be here right now. Whereas right now I just can't breathe and have a lung infection. So then that's like the 3rd day of my sickness. And then within 24 hours of that, it gets so bad so quick. It's like a sitcom level of like, how did that happen so quickly in 23 minutes plus commercial break? There's no way.
So what point do you go to the hospital?
I go when my oxygen levels, based on the thing I have, my finger pulse ox thing, when my oxygen levels are below 93 when I'm laying down and
what's
not moving.
Normal?
100 for anyone. Like if a healthy person got and their oxygen levels went to like 96, that would be crazy. Once they hit 89 when walking, is when I have to be fully on oxygen, which I did get sent home on oxygen. I'm just trying to not use it as much as I can right now.
Why?
Well, I have my port in.
Obviously, zero judgment, but why?
Yeah. I have this in, which is my port. Can the camera see this? Yeah.
Blur that though. You have to. That's gonna.
Oh yeah, you have
cost
to
a
pay
lot.
for our
Well,
Patreon.
have
if you
you
want to see
learned
that.
nothing from me?
Yeah, I know you're right. I'm sorry.
Oh my god.
And if you want to pay extra, you can Venmo terminally_chill. But this is where I'm getting all of my IV medicines.
Sexy.
It is sexy, yeah. And it's a direct access into my heart that was surgically put in.
Yeah,
and so
it
they
is.
access it. It's always, yeah, it is. It's always under my skin all the time. But then when they want to use it, they put this needle in and now they can use it. And this is already so much hardware to have around.
But you see what I mean when you're just like, when people are like, how's Kirsten? You're just like, I'm sick. You're like, yeah. I just have this gadget that goes directly to my heart and I can't breathe without oxygen.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you put anything in this little thing, direct main line in. So what are we doing?
What?
When I was in college, they used to give me talks before they would send me home with it. They'd be like, and if you were to put alcohol in there, you'd die, right?
What wouldn't kill you besides the meds? Everything. Yeah.
But they would send me home. I was an art school kid in Center City, Philly, with a direct main line to my heart 4 times a year minimum.
Don't all art school kids have a direct main line to their heart? So to put it in perspective, thank you for ignoring that. We were discussing a show and you said, I really want to do it, honestly, but I'm triple booked that day and I'm also in the hospital.
Oh yeah, I got offered to do a show I wanted to do. I was really bummed.
You said, I'm stressed and won't be able to make it out. And I said, oh no, let me be a huge career-oriented bitch. Tell them to email me to do it instead.
And they did.
And then I said, now I can check in on you. Hospital for what? Tell me anything if you can. Brain, heart, lungs, overall body. Don't be stressed. Take care of yourself. Shows will rebook you. And then I started going off because I definitely felt guilty about my first text. You're funny. They need you. Don't force yourself. Blah, blah, blah. Blank that part out.
Mm-hmm.
Then I sent you an edited photo of Jimmy Fallon saying, get well soon.
That was edited? I thought he did that for me.
Oh, sorry. It wasn't edited.
Yeah.
I just touched up his face.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no, it was directly for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so your text of you being sick, and I know at this point what sick means, like hospital, whatever. But I had the experience this time because people see us interacting because of the podcast more, of people messaging me or just asking to my face how you're doing. And it's all coming from a good place. It's all kind, but people's are using me kind of as a buffer instead of messaging you directly, which I get. Maybe they don't want to bother you, saying like, how are you?
Or maybe they're fucking cowards. If you want to know how I am, reach out to me directly via Venmo at terminally_chill. And if you send $10, I'll respond.
For $10, you respond?
If you send $10,000, I'll respond.
Thank you. My God.
I'm sorry. I do not have my pricing out yet.
Someone that's been needing money.
If you send $10,000, I'll respond. If you send 20, I'll also send you a pic of my port. If you send 50, I'll inject anything you want into this port.
Pics.
Mom, for legal reasons, that was a joke.
For port pics. Yes. Your poor mother, who I saw this weekend, and I got to say, I don't remember what I said to her, but I just saw her and was like, I don't know how you do this.
Yeah, you guys had a nice little moment of like, how do we do it with this girl? You both were just looking at each other like, how are you doing?
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm sick of her shit.
Oh my God. She's like giving you advice on how to deal with me.
Well, you started coughing and I patted your back and she laughed. She was like, such a mom move. Her mom said that to me.
My mom.
It does. And honestly, I know what you meant because it just feels helpless listening to you cough because there's there's nothing you could do and you just are watching you die.
Yeah, she's definitely in the final stage of grief in my life. Definitely she went through all of those and now she's in the just gonna do bits about it, which is where I've been wanting her to get for years. So
that's so funny.
Yeah.
So
but wait, I was gonna say, well, also we can superimpose those texts in this video if we post it. But I was gonna say also you can share that I did send an actually I did say something kind of sincere and vulnerable to you, didn't I?
You did.
Which I never do, but I was high. You can read it.
Away.
I don't remember what it was, but I remember I was very high when you asked me how I'm doing.
Yeah, and you started to complain. It was pretty annoying.
You started to say a bunch of racial shit. It was really weird.
Yeah, you were like, could they bring a white nurse in here? Do you want me to read it?
Yeah, go ahead. I don't remember what it says.
That's mostly about comedy. You did say, I told you, I was like, if it gives you peace of mind, you can say yes to that gig, and if you absolutely can't do it, I'll fill in for you. Because then you can have the choice to make. And you said, I'm exhausted. I'm truly not. Stop being so stressed about and overwhelmed. They often keep me at least a week, sometimes more. Though this might be quicker. But you were panicking about your other shows. Just need someone to backboard this stuff off, which I'm sure it's so awkward. I hate to say awkward, but I felt weird when people were asking me how you're doing because the answer is bad.
Yeah, there's not a good answer. Like the answer that they want is the answer that I will give, which is like, I'm doing better.
Yeah.
Like it's true. Every day I am better, but not at the speed in which you would like me to be.
Right.
But I know it makes them so uncomfortable. Like there's a correct answer when people are asking how you're doing.
Yeah,
so
exactly. I think that's why it feels like I don't know what to say.
We need to come up. Remember when we talked about how you have that canned response for when someone says you look like my friend and you say she sounds really hot.
Yeah.
And I said, I love that. That's a great one to have in your little arsenal. We need to come up with something about how am I doing or how is Kirsten doing?
Dying, but good.
Yeah, still hot. Maybe we can have people.
I don't know what it would be because people really want to hear that you're totally fine.
Yeah, they really do. And I would also love to be able to say it, but it's just, I mean, I'll still say it. I lie about it a lot, but.
Right, which is what people, where people don't get to like accept death because they'll hear like, oh, they're dying, and everyone just kind of walks away from it. If I don't have to see it, it's not happening.
Yeah. Yes.
But even you needing to cancel shows, I was like, yeah, if people are fans of yours, they understand.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah.
Like
and I mean, I was really like, just to get into it. I mean, Jamie knows this because we talked about this, but I had to cancel 12 gigs in 9 days and one of them was 4 of them were really big. One of them was headlining in Boston, and I was supposed to be headlining at Laugh Boston, and you were going to be my feature. And then the rest of the weekend, I was going to feature for Robert Kelly, who's a really big comedian. And then I was going to feature for Derek Cahill.
Robert Kelly, if you can hear this, my friend's dying and she was supposed to feature for you. So if you could send, what did you say, $10 for a poor $10? No, hook her up. She wants to feature for you somewhere.
I'm going to feature for you again. Then I already was overbooked for this weekend. And then I got emailed by Helium asking to host for Troy Bond all weekend, who I would fucking love to have hosted for. And that's an opportunity I would have jumped at. But I was in the hospital. And, so much of the reason I push through, like I'll be really sick and I'll still show up to anything, is because I don't want to prove people right about like the fear of booking me and maybe she won't be able to make it. Maybe
no one's thinking that.
I appreciate that.
No one is thinking that. And I only said it because all comedians are unhinged addicts.
Yeah.
People cancel for less than having a terminal illness.
Don't I know it? It drives me crazy how much everyone else gets to cancel for nothing.
Yeah.
And I am like pushing through with like 104-degree fever just to try to prove that I can be there.
I will say you canceled on another show this weekend we were supposed to be on together, which left me alone in a sea of dick jokes.
And I did go as an audience member to try to fish you out of all the dick jokes. There were so many. And I was like, James, it's Kier.
I couldn't see you.
James.
It's getting slapped in the face.
It's like, James, I'm coming. And you were just crying and crying.
Yes. Then I was in a puddle of tears. Then I ran away. But I was glad you went to experience me freaking out. Talk about illnesses and how people talk about stuff. That man that went off about his vasectomy in the middle of Dan's set. Our friend Dan does a pretty funny joke about
what's Dan's last name so we can plug him?
D'April? Nailed it.
Yeah.
He does a funny joke about he's like considering getting a vasectomy, and a man in the audience was like, "Don't do it." And then detailed like a graphic medical issue he had that lasted maybe a week.
Yeah.
And he's like slumped and he's like, "Don't get a vasectomy." And like I could see Dan's brain working, and he told me after where he was like, I don't know if I was like give him a lifeline of like the bro thing of like, oh, like act like he's being tough or like let him dig his own grave. I was like, there's no helping that man.
No.
his girlfriend, wife, whoever was just in the moment of realizing, oh, this is who I'm with.
Very
like, I
brave.
think people
yeah.
have that moment when they go to comedy shows where like, oh, not only is he one to yell out, he's telling all these people about his balls.
Oh, you don't know somebody until you've gone to a public space with them, and been in an audience with them. You do not know somebody until you're with them and they're getting crowd worked by a comic.
Plane.
And so you're with them when the plane lands. That's the only way you know, sweetie.
Yeah, so Dan is such a nice guy. And he was like, I was
He
like, there
did
was
help
no
him.
helping that man.
No, but that man was, he said that he had gone through some real medical turmoil. And then everybody clapped and donated to his GoFundMe. And then Jamie went up and
did not
immediately, I forget your opening. I was really high not on drugs, on
I didn't
medical drugs.
Call him a pussy.
But you went up and were like, who the fuck was that said that? Because you couldn't see from where you were.
Yeah.
Who said that? Who was the one who got the vasectomy?
Yeah.
Show yourself.
I wish No, someone needed to tell that man to shut up.
It's a really fine line of like wanting to help someone because you're getting secondhand embarrassment, but also being like, you did this to yourself. You're a grown ass man.
Also, the content of what he was saying was insane.
Yeah.
In the grand scheme of things of what getting a vasectomy does for everyone's life, I just went off about that was the sound of someone that's never had to do something for anyone else in his life, never had to go to a gynecologist, never had to put his feet in stirrups annually,
birth
never
control,
had to get anything,
hormones,
anything done to them. I'm like,
and then another man who I do not think knew him at all. Do you know, Neil? Were they in the same group? The guy who said he had the vasectomy, and then the guy from New York. Were they in the same group?
Yeah, I believe they were in the back table.
They were friends.
I believe so.
Okay, because I thought the other guy who spoke up later, who was like, I also got a vasectomy, I thought he didn't know him at all, and he was just joining in friend to friend.
That's what I thought.
Okay, but okay. All right. Well, that was cool of him.
Either way, I could not help myself.
No, he couldn't help himself. He did it to himself.
I think there's just a lot of medical things like talking about what you go through. You don't say a lot of things. Women are taught to be small. Don't say this. Don't say this. Like,
when in doubt, shut the fuck up. I just
met a man recently who was like, it's crazy you guys have to go to work when you have your period. Like, he literally said this to me. He was like, you guys like have like at very minimum like have headaches and cramps and you still have to go to work.
Yeah.
And I was like, go to work. I still have to have this damn conversation.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
So I think like that fires me up is when I hear men complain about anything medical. Because I'm like, oh, you have no idea. You went to one doctor one time in 7 years and it prevents you from having kids one time.
And you can undo a vasectomy.
I would start giving vasectomies out on the street corner if I could. Are you kidding? I was like what we all have to go through just to be okay to get any sort of medicine, like any sort of anything that has to do with your ovaries, uterus, anything is insane.
Yeah, it is not lost on me. Every once in a while, it will click in my head, like what you said earlier about like what I say is sick. Because I'm just, you only know your own life.
Yeah.
I'm not someone who like has a disease that I developed where like I did have a life where like I got a cold and that was sick and now sick is really sick. I've never known the other way. But like it is not lost on me sometimes when I have something where I'm like, I will be in the hospital, pushed to get released because I have a show that night or something, or like I have to be somewhere, or I have when I used to bartend, like I had a shift that night I couldn't get out of. And I will work so hard to do these things. And then it's not lost on me how many people, then I show up to that shift and it's like, oh, this person called out. She had a lot of homework, or something.
When you're like, do I put that on myself? Were you
exactly right? I also don't hold it against
someone that got a man in particular that got their wisdom teeth out while you're dating?
Yes, I did. Yeah,
and you would have thought,
yeah,
you would have thought they were the first person to get surgery on the planet. Are you kidding? You know what?
Luckily, people are pretty hesitant to complain about medical stuff around me. But
they should be hesitant to complain to me about anything.
Yeah. You should be hesitant to complain.
Be hesitant to talk.
Right. And like I am very much like the devil's advocate of like, hey, everyone's pain is theirs, whatever. But some people take that and run way too far. And I'm like, but also have a little bit of self-understanding of who you're talking to.
That's really...
Who the fuck you're talking to.
Well, or just in general, like when people this is bad.
No,
but
go.
you know that my like it's trending like my ick is like I don't like when men say that they're cold.
Fellas, is it gay to be cold?
So and the reason is it's not as simple as a guy saying they're cold. I don't like when people complain about things that are not fixable and are being experienced by more than one person.
For sure.
Like if we're sitting in a room that's cold or we're like outside and it's cold and they don't have a jacket or something, they're just like, I'm so cold. I'm like,
yes. Oh,
what do you want me to say back to that? You saying you're cold doesn't make you any warmer. Like,
or
I'm
like
just like
7 a.m. call times, like on set and stuff. Someone saying they're tired. Shut up. Do you think we're not all tired, sweetie?
Well, and it's just like, why do you need to say that out loud?
What do we all gain from it?
Like, oh my God, you're cold. That changes everything. So I feel that way about like, but I think both of us, I mean, you go through way more medical things, but pain, it takes so much for me to say I'm sick. For whatever reason, my whole life I've always been like, even if I am sick, I'm definitely like, there was an episode of Friends and she's like, I'm fine. Like that always feels like me where I'm like, I will never say I'm sick. Like someone be like, oh, like, how are you feeling? I'm like, fine, brutal headache, haven't gone out of bed in 3 days, but I'm fine.
Describing everything that
I'm
is
describing
sick.
being ill, but won't say I'm sick. And that's like obviously negative too. But there's got to be some middle ground between people acting like they're ripping every toenail out versus just like having a cough. I've
never found the middle ground though, because I firmly will agree. I will never complain about how bad I'm feeling. And if I do, it's always like I'll preface by being like, I'm going to complain for 2 seconds and then we're going to move on. Like I feel like I have to pre-apologize for complaining about that. And then there are people whose brains are like, they're going to let you know when they're hungry. When there are people out there, Jamie, who are tummy ache survivors and they are going through it.
I don't know how.
That's what I'm saying.
Don't know how they do it.
And I pray for them every day. And if you donate now,
you can buy them 3 loaded guns. I think
you can buy us 3 loaded guns so we can shoot them 3 times.
Ironic with you is you'll get on stage and say, I have cystic fibrosis.
Yeah.
What cystic fibrosis is. But then if someone's like, how are you doing? You're like, fine, great. I'm amazing.
I'm the healthiest anyone's ever been.
Yep, I am health. I am wealth.
They're going to start putting me on posters for like
people are
those things
so
that ex-Bachelor contestants promote. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
Like those like wellness things, like the like sugar bear hair and nail. Yeah, they're gonna put me on it.
Yeah. So you'll talk about it, but I think there's still a disconnect on like people seeing that you're actually sick.
Oh, I'm never gonna show it. If you're waiting to see me sick, you have to personally come visit me at Jefferson Hospital. Catch me in the middle of the night when
Believe that there's like 50 hospitals going on now.
You're right.
Or shout out.
Yeah.
To be like,
there's a lot. There's multiple Jefferson hospitals.
At Jefferson when he was sick.
Yeah, I was at Methodist this time, but that's a Jefferson hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a rarity. And usually like even when people come visit me, you still don't ever see me sick. Like I'm in the hospital and I'm sick, but we're still having fun.
I think this has to do with our like dying and resurrecting.
Yeah.
Do you have anything you want to kill this week?
I do. I have a couple things. Oh yeah. I wrote all of these while I was in the hospital, knowing that we were going to hopefully record when I got out.
Okay, great. Yeah. Then do you want to start?
Oh wait, also last thing I wanted to say about how this happened. I meant to ask you this. Did you know because my documentary crew came in and filmed me when I was in the hospital a little bit, and they asked me about how this happened, like when I started getting sick, whatever.
Was someone sick that we know?
And no. But when I start getting sick, I will lie. I didn't think about this until they asked me this question, and I realized I was wondering if you caught all this, because famously, I will do this with friends all the time. If I have a thing to do, like my best friend Caitlin and I got tickets months in advance to see Mulaney 2 years ago. I woke up that morning, one of the sickest I've ever been in my entire life, but I was not going to tell her that until we got the Uber home. I was like, I'm gonna use every ounce of my degree in acting to do this, whatever. Yeah. I do this a lot. If there's an event, I will wait until everyone says like, all right, we're gonna go home, and then I'll say like, are we done? Like, scene. And they're like, great, I'm so sick, I'm actually going to the hospital, I'm not gonna go home. And then they won't see me again for 2 weeks. And I was so sick the night of redemption hour. That was the first night I got sick. Did you know that?
I thought that makes sense.
I didn't know how well I was hiding it. I know Tyler kind of called me
stressed.
out on it, but I was very, very sick. And I was like,
I thought you were stressed about the show, and
mhm.
yeah, you weren't yourself, but
Okay.
I don't think bad.
Okay. So I was not doing a great acting job.
Here's the thing. My brain is like so black and white that when someone's like acting off, I'm like, unless they tell me something's up, I'm not gonna.
Good.
So I just was
Yeah,
like,
good.
I could perceive that, but I chalked it up to, oh, we're doing something stressful.
Yeah.
We've never been in a stressful production setting together yet.
Mhm.
Maybe this is how she goes. She folds and does what she needs to do and moves on.
Yeah.
But flip side, I could see that you being sick. You're like, I'm going to exert my energy for what I need to do.
Okay, cool. Good to know.
I'll
hide it better next time.
What?
Yeah, well,
just tell me, dickhead.
At redemption hour. But it's that I won't tell anyone because everyone's going to keep checking in on me.
Oh, I won't.
And I know you won't.
If you were like, hey, I feel like ass. Mm-hmm. As soon as this is done, I'm dipping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I did. And I had people be like, oh, do you want to hang out? Like, do you want to get a drink after this or whatever? And I remember Tyler said to me like, oh, we can't go out tonight after the show. Maybe we can on Monday. Cut that. But no, I did not.
Tell you.
I did not clock. I didn't get to talk to them much, I guess. But
yeah. Well, and I also figure if you're sick, you're not clocking conversations the same way.
Definitely no. Yeah.
Dang. So you left that night or the next day?
So that was what, Thursday night?
That was Wednesday night because I left the next day to go to Puerto Rico.
Yes, that was Wednesday night. That was the first day that I woke up and I was like, I'm sick. And Tyler had said something to me like, oh, well, since we can't get drinks tonight, maybe we can next week. Mm-hmm. And I said yes, knowing goddamn well I was going to be in the hospital next week.
Yeah.
Like I'm always in denial about it, but I would, if there was anything, I'd be willing to put money on it.
Yeah, but it's okay to say yes in that situation because even though he knows you well, as soon as you say no, I'm in the hospital.
Oh, yeah.
He has to. The comfort situation happens.
Yes, exactly.
Wait, so what was your thing you wanted to resurrect?
Okay. Can we go in the other?
Oh yeah,
in the other order.
Kill, yeah,
because mine go hand in hand.
Great.
Okay. I would like to lay to rest couples in matching outfits.
Ew.
Whether they're exactly matching or they're like t-shirts that go hand in hand, you know.
Did you see one? Or?
Yeah, I've seen, plenty, especially when you go to like events or game days or something, you know, you see older boomer couples in those shirts that are like, it's like the husband's in a shirt that's like, if lost, find,
similar to my graphic tee thing,
find Mary, and her shirt says like, I'm Mary. But also I just know couples who have like truly matching, like the same shirt or like his pattern shirt in a dress for her or something like that. I'd like to never see that again for all of my days.
Well, that's not that many.
Well, then let's go. Let's get rid of it quick.
Yeah, that's bizarre. I've never dated someone and been like, let me coordinate.
It's never dating couples. It's always married couples. And they are always born before 1971.
I don't like that either.
I don't think I've ever seen a couple.
I have one of my things to lay to rest is couple related too.
Go ahead.
I've told you this before, but I'll say it on the pod. When men are just talking to me and find a reason to weave in that they have a girlfriend when we were like not flirting or hanging out in that capacity at all. Mm-hmm. Like I recently, ran into someone I kind of know and like hugged one person that I know well, and I'm not much of a hugger, so I like went for like a handshake fist bump thing with him. And I just kind of jokingly brushed it off to say something like, oh, not much of a hugger. And he said, I have a girlfriend. After he went in for the hug. So
cool. Is she here? I'd love to meet her.
Yeah. I don't know. Because like, I think you've said this before, is like when they say that, it feels like their brain is screaming, you can't have sex with her even though you're thinking about it. That's all it sounds like.
Yeah. And they just gave themselves away by doing it. by saying that, they've now admitted that they're thinking about fucking you to the point where their brain is doing the equivalent of going to confession right there.
Yeah.
They just said 3 Hail Marys and they're like, I cannot fuck you no matter how badly I want to.
Of course, sometimes, like, when this was happening, I would always, like, blame myself. I was like, what about what I'm doing is making them feel like I'm flirting? But then it started happening in work situations and just...
It's not you.
Anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so bizarre. It's like, seems like a tick almost Tourette's-y vibe where I'll just be like, hey, what's up? And they're like, I'm good, but my girlfriend's good too.
Oh.
That's great. That's so good.
Yeah, that's a good point. I've definitely seen girls do that with, but not because they want to fuck the guy, but because they can tell that a guy is hitting on them.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've done that before where I have like weaved in that I'm seeing someone, or even if I'm not, just weave it in anyway if I'm uncomfortable in a conversation. But maybe this is hypocritical to say, but it drives me crazy when someone was blatantly hitting on you and then you throw in that you're dating someone and then they act like, okay, like, okay, why are you telling me that? I wasn't trying to flirt with you. And it's like, you very blatantly were, which is maybe hypocritical because maybe he felt that way, but there's no way.
No, it was like I straight up
you weren't doing anything.
I just ooze sex appeal. Not even a little bit.
Their brain sees you.
That's why my brain, I can't process flirting for the most part. So when people are like, I have a girlfriend, I'm like, oh my God, did my tip fall out? Like, I literally am so confused why you thought
that they subscribe to your OnlyFans and they just truly want to fuck you.
Yeah.
Or they think that because you
Does it look like I'm taking notes? Okay. Yeah. They want to fuck me.
Fuck.
Got it? I have quite a few.
I think though that I do think that the fact that you are open about being a content creator on OnlyFans probably makes people think that you are. It's like have you ever known anyone like in real life who is a stripper or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And people for some reason think that like they're always down. Like,
well, it's the same thing with comedy. Like, it's like someone will roast you, like, hey, I'm a comedian. Then they're like, oh, you dumb fuck with a dead dad. And you're like, what? Like, almost always if someone hears I'm a comedian, they're like, okay, ugly. And I'm like, what?
For work. Yeah. Right. In the same way that doctors or nurses are like, I hate when I tell people I'm a doctor and they ask me to like look at a mole or something. I'm like,
legally, you have to do that.
Yeah. Then you also took an oath, just like I took an oath to be the funniest bitch at the party.
Yeah, I didn't. And I take that with honor. Laugh at anybody's moles. No, you know that's not my job.
I would never take that oath. But if I did, I would follow it up with grace and resilience.
I guess this one's kind of similar. Things that need to lay to rest is talking to me like I know who you are. Because it goes. I tie it into one of my things we need to resurrect. It will.
Sure.
It drives me nuts when someone starts talking to me assuming I know more than they do. Like, I had someone come up to me and they were talking and they were like, well, you know, Steve and I went blah, blah, blah to blah, blah, blah. And my brain's going, who the fuck is Steve? Who is talking to me? Where am I? Like, I all of a sudden just lost every place. I was like, am I supposed to know who Steve is?
There's also never been a moment when someone has said the name Steve that I knew who Steve was. Specifically because there are 100,000 Steves
about
per capita. There's never a time that if you say Steve, I don't need you to give me more information.
I just think I guess all my things to like lay to rest are just
Steve.
Just having some humility. Yeah, naming kids Steve and having some humility. Like and it's not like me being forgetful. It's like some people I met once or twice. And then I just like will see them out again and they retell a story as if we talked on the phone yesterday. I don't know who you're dating. I don't know what's going on. Please enlighten me, but with more context.
I could not have less info about Steve.
Like assume I'm stupid.
Yeah.
When you're talking to me.
For sure. I think people, if you follow them on social media, they probably think that you're keeping up with them.
Hey, I gotta tell you guys, I have 300 people muted on Instagram.
I was just gonna say, if you don't know about the mute function on Instagram, I know it's because of Jamie Pappas who told me about it. Because anytime I ask you,
mute bitches.
Jamie's finger at any moment is hovering on that mute button, waiting for you to say one fucking wrong thing and you're done. Take me back, muted. Name Steve, muted. Noah Steve?
Been to a wedding? Have a niece or nephew? Mute. Got a new haircut? Mute.
In the hospital? Mute.
Picture of a latte? Mute.
New podcast clip? Muted.
The only thing I want to see on my feed? Birds and beaches. I'll follow you guys, but I don't need to see your shit. So when I see you in person, give me some context, because I didn't watch your 16 stories from your cousin's wedding in Red Bank, New Jersey. Sorry, I didn't. Well, tell me about it.
Yeah.
I'm happy to hear about it.
Yeah, in real life. I don't want to hear about it on the internet.
Yeah, when I wake up in the morning, like reach for my phone, I don't want to like look at other people's nieces and nephews.
I am not a social media. I mean, I use social media, but I'm not like a scroller. I seldom like keep up with. I'm not usually the person who's like, did you see blah, blah, blah. But anytime I see something on social media that I think is notable enough to tell you, I check to see if you follow them first. And then I bring it up to you and I go, did you see? And you go, no, no, I don't follow them. And I go, actually, you do. I checked. I muted them. I
don't need to see that.
I do not know him. I've never heard of this man in my life.
I fully Mariah Carey to everyone. I do not know that man.
I do not know.
I do not know that.
I do not know that man.
I do not know her.
Did you see Neil's post? You know, Neil who runs our podcast? I do not know him. I do not. Are you sure you're pronouncing it right? Neil. Mealworm.
I think it's a good nickname.
It is a good nickname. It'd be funnier. It would work better if he spelled his name Neal.
Yeah.
He does not, which is kind of an oversight on
You're
his
right.
end.
Me calling him mealworm doesn't work because of that.
No, I think he should change it. What I'm advocating for is he changes the spelling.
I have one more thing I need to lay to rest besides Neil's name.
Go ahead. Just first of all, we'd like to lay to rest all Neils. Grow up. Get a new name. It's 2024. You're still named Neil.
I love he's typing a note for himself.
He's like, cut the Neil bit.
Something we need to lay to rest. Complimenting people, but like comparing, or compliments that are questions. Like after a comedy show, when someone comes up to you and they're like, you were the best one. Like someone did that to me this week, and I said, all right, I'm going to go in there and tell my friends that I'm in that room with. Like, you can just be nice without dissing someone.
Yeah.
Like, the other one is questions. When people compliment you, I know I'm complaining about getting complimented too much, but it's the phrasing that makes it feel like not a compliment, actually. Like, they're always backhanded stuff. Like, it's like when someone, like, even as simple as like, oh, did you get a haircut? Like, instead of just saying your hair looks nice today, it always has to be a question, because then you're like, yeah or no, and then it's like a what next?
Yeah.
Like, someone this weekend asked me something. They were complimenting my butt, but they were like, what have you been doing? It was like, have you been working out? It wasn't just like, you look good. It was like,
they're saying compared to when I saw you last.
Something's wrong here. And I was just like, just say the nice thing and move on. Why do you got to project yourself onto it?
Yeah.
I think, what needs to lay to rest is people being unable to compliment without projecting themselves. Like even comedy shows. Good set. You look good. So simple. Thank you. We move on. When you say like a question, then I have to like answer. It's like,
yeah.
I know it's not that heavy of a topic, but I maybe don't have many social skills.
No, but also, have you ever seen somebody say, like, I've witnessed interactions like this where somebody goes, oh, did you cut your hair? And then the other person goes, thank you. Like they understand the context. Yeah. And that's somehow even worse than.
I've heard that word like, no, I just washed it.
Right. Like, which is a hilarious also thing to ask somebody. Like, what did you do differently to your hair? Because if the answer is I washed it, you're not going to like that answer, because what I'm telling you is that I don't typically wash my hair. And now you have to say something to try to make me feel better about that.
Yeah. A compliment is so simple. You look great.
Yeah.
Thank you. Your hair looks good today. Thank you.
Jamie, you look great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you do something different? Did you go to the gym today?
Came right from the gym, baby. Sorry.
It shows.
Shout out to my trainer Keith, who doesn't have Instagram, so I can't tag him in anything.
I love you, Keith. Keith. Now that's a good Christian American name. You know,
Cut this.
Roberto.
We're back.
You know Roberto from Baltimore. A comedian Roberto who runs
No.
Don't Tell with Friesman.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I probably might have him muted.
Yeah, you probably have him muted. But he does a bit about I
don't think I met him.
Like good old one-syllable American Christian names.
Yeah.
And he will point to an audience member. I've seen him do it 4 times. Point to an audience member and say, like, what's your name? And it works. It is correct every time. It is a one-syllable American Christian name. I've never seen it not work. I'm sure he has something for if it doesn't, but there's certain guys you can look at.
What's his last name?
I don't know. Roberto. I don't know. He just runs the Don't Tell account with Friesman.
I'll find him.
Yeah.
No. Okay.
And we're back.
Yes, my first crush in elementary school was named Keith.
Oh.
I used to keep an intense diary, but I wouldn't write anything except the name of who I had a crush on that day. So it was often
over and over.
Keith, Scott, Andrew. Who else did I have a crush on?
Scott, that's another good one. Another one syllable. Mm-hmm.
Shout out Scotty Too Hottie.
Who's that?
The kid I had a crush on in 6th grade.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's a great name to have a crush on. Yeah.
20 years, but shout out. Hope you're doing well.
I'm trying to think of who my first crush was. I don't know if I remember that. I'm impressed that you do. I don't think I took enough notes.
I had a crush, and then we dated end of 6th grade.
Oh, yeah.
Andrew and I dated. Scott and I never did.
Mm-hmm.
We were friends though. Probably because we were all best friends.
You still could.
Scott,
email us.
Scott, blanking your last name out here.
Do you remember it or no?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Oh,
I guess I changed schools a lot. Like I
didn't. I changed schools once in 4th grade.
Oh my God,
to Bucks County.
Oh yeah, I changed schools like probably 5 times.
Oh wow, yeah. No.
Between K through 12, yeah.
I changed schools once, but then our middle school going to high school split into 2 high schools.
Right.
So my middle school split into 2.
Yeah.
And majority of the kids went to one high school, and I went to the other high school.
Did you get separated from Scott?
No.
Okay.
I just don't really have many memories of him in high school, though.
Sometimes you think someone's going to be...
Did Scott go... I'll look it up.
Sometimes you think someone's going to be, like, the hot person based on how it was when you were, like, young. When you, like, the person that everyone has a crush on. And then when you actually hit the point where
we had a kid that peaked hard in middle school.
Which is great. To peak in middle school is... I mean, almost...
In middle school, 2 years.
Almost
our school system, middle school's only 7th, 8th. To peak then is crazy. But he did. He kissed all the girls, everything. That was not, I'm not going to say his name.
Okay.
Because he doesn't deserve it.
Okay. I would like to also lay to rest.
Oh, another one?
Last thing.
Yeah.
And I don't want anyone coming for my throat about this because I'm going to be clear when I say.
You can come for mine.
Come for Jamie's throat.
Kind of into it.
Pets in grocery stores.
Bye.
Not service animals, pets.
Disgusting.
I would like to use this platform as a PSA, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I would also like to add pets in clothing stores. And here's
why. Have I not gone on my rant about this yet?
I think you've told me a little bit that you
probably
feel this
personally.
way.
I say it every day. I wake up.
Yeah. I love, Jamie, how much do I love animals? Like dogs.
Too much.
I love them. I am not a dog hater whatsoever. I love them so much. I have to carry an EpiPen because I am anaphylactically allergic to animals to the point where if somebody has been around a dog in a week in those clothes and sits on my couch and then leaves, and then a week later I lay on my couch, I will get really sick. When you bring your pet, if it is a service animal, hey, I'm a sick person as well. I totally get we need what we need, right? If you bring a pet into a clothing store and the dog is walking through the clothes, the amount of times that I have bought something and put it on to try it on and gotten really sick from that. Or at the grocery store, your dog is around the produce and stuff. I love dogs. I want them to thrive. I want them to be able to be a part of our society, but only when needed. if you are somebody who fakes the service animal thing and you're the person who's
Jail.
on straight to jail. If you're the person who's online giving people hacks, like all you have to do is just get, if they can prove that they can sit and stay, then you can get them a little vest. You can buy it on Amazon. Fuck you from the bottom of my heart. Fuck you.
It even drives me nuts in the airport.
Oh, if there's an animal on, I have to check when I fly any flight if there's going to be an animal on the plane with me. And if there is, I have to be moved to the opposite end of the plane because it will ruin. I could get to my destination and have to be sent right back because I will be so sick. I won't be able to go on my vacation. If you really need it, fine. But if you don't, Jesus Christ, some of us are. Your
reasoning will kill you. My reasoning is it's just disrespectful.
It is.
Like, just because you have a dog doesn't mean I need to deal with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Should not have to step over a dog when I'm trying to get coffee. There should not be a dog involved when I'm trying to get anything food related. Mm-hmm. Leave it at home.
Can I ask, what do you think, though, about... Because, okay, so what do you think about, like, you know how there's people, everyone knows there's people with, like, really severe peanut allergies, right? Mm-hmm. People don't really understand or respect the animal thing in that way because very few people are anaphylactically allergic to animals. I get that, right? However, so many of you people out there think that your dog is the exception. No one's allergic to your dog or whatever. But peanut allergies, everyone is pretty like, yes, we've seen it all happen. We all know somebody with one that is so severe that they will die, right? But unlike, like, I am that with dogs, but there are people who also need dogs to live, like service animals. There's no situation like that with like peanuts or peanut butter that it completely conflicts with somebody's need to live.
Peanut butter to live.
This is my support peanut butter.
Please, but don't give anyone any idea.
What do we do? Like, let's say I was working in an office where I cannot be around an animal or I will die. And somebody who also works in that office needs an animal with them or they will die. What do we do? Whose is more respected?
No, boxing match, like a duel.
Oh, we fight.
Yeah.
Can the dog be in the fight?
No.
Okay, good. Perfect. Okay.
You can't have your oxygen. They can't have a dog. Oh, fuck. Put you two in a ring.
Okay.
How else would you decide anything?
That's what I'm asking. What do you think we do about that?
Yeah, Battle of the Sickies. You ever seen that show?
I'm going to be hosting it.
Just have two sick people duke it out.
Different kinds of sick, though.
Yeah. Realistically, if you were working in an office and you had to work in an office and someone had a dog, you are going to work from home.
For sure, right. But how do we decide which is more valid?
It's not a validity. I think you would work out who it was physically more capable of working from home.
Okay. All right. And it would be me.
If you want to work from home.
This is why I don't work in an office.
That's why?
This is why.
But you could work a remote job.
No, I can't. What if at the interview there's a dog?
Why can't you work a remote job?
I can't risk it. I can't risk it.
A remote job?
I can't risk it, Jamie.
You can't risk working.
My God, stop telling me. You sound like my mom. Why can't you get a job?
5 of my rows in one sentence.
Okay. All right.
Wait, actually, I'm confused. You just can't work. You're saying your brain won't allow you.
Can't risk it.
A remote job? All right. Enough. What are we resurrecting? You getting a job?
I have a job. I bring joy.
Where?
To Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Different parts of the country. I bring joy.
Wait.